In today's video, I'm going to talk about the new $2,000 a month stimulus bill. I'm going to tell you what it's about, who's going to get it, and what you should do with it. Stay tuned. I'm sure you've heard of the $2 trillion plan to combat the event I'm calling the Big Obvious, for YouTube reasons, that was signed into law by the president last month. This law provides $300 billion worth of stimulus to be given to qualifying Americans. For many, this resulted in a $1,200 payment. I have videos that go into detail concerning the CARES Act if you're curious to know more. If you've received your tax refunds through direct deposit, you should have received your stimulus payment on or around April 15th. One great way you can stimulate the channel is by clicking the like button for the YouTube algorithm. I'd really appreciate it. The like button tells YouTube that you want to see this kind of information, and it helps me get the word out about the channel. If you're new to the channel, or even if you've been watching for a while, thanks for joining us. I'd like to see where our viewers are from. Comment your city, state, and country down in the comments section. Recently, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin was quoted as saying he believed Americans could survive 10 weeks on $1,200. The national average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the United States is $965 per month, with the average in our nation's capital being $1,511 per month. The average spent on groceries in the United States is anywhere between $165 per month to $350 per month. Even an average hypothetical unemployed American having an average one-bedroom rent and average minimum grocery bill would struggle to get by for 1 month on the $1,200 stimulus. Fortunately, some in Congress have realized the shortcomings of the well-intentioned first round of stimulus payments. Congressman Tim Ryan of Ohio's 13th District and Ro Khanna of California's 17th District have written the Emergency Money for the People Act. This act addresses many of the concerns the previous round of stimulus payments failed to acknowledge. The Emergency Money for the People Act aims to give Americans who qualify $2,000 per month for 6 months until unemployment levels return to pre-Big Obvious levels. The bill says that payments will continue until the employment to population ratio is greater than 60%. As of this writing, 26.5 million Americans, or 16% of the labor force, have filed for unemployment since March 14th. The Emergency Money for the People Act is similar to the CARES Act in two noteworthy ways. Much like the $1,200 stimulus payment, the $2,000 per month payment would not count as income for tax purposes. Also, the payment would not make a recipient ineligible for other forms of state or federal government assistance. The second stimulus would include more Americans in the CARES Act. The Emergency Money for the People Act ensures that eligible Americans will receive regular payments of $2,000 per month, even if they are college students or disabled adults who are being claimed as dependents. This eligibility is extended to formerly unemployed, currently unemployed, and people who had no earnings. Every American 16 years of age or older who earns $130,000 per year or less will receive $2,000 per month stimulus payment. This means that 80% of Americans 16 years old and over will receive benefits. Couples who earn less than $260,000 per year would receive $4,000 per month. Americans who claim dependents would receive $500 per month per dependent, limited to 3 dependents. This means that a single filer would receive $2,000 per month for at least 6 months until the employment to population ratio is greater than 60%. A single parent with 3 dependents would receive $3,500 per month. However, a single parent with 5 dependents would also receive $3,500 per month because the Act imposes a 3-dependent limit. This works out much better for a hypothetical average unemployed American. The example at the beginning had this person spending $965 per month for an average one-bedroom apartment and at least $165 per month for groceries, totaling $1,130 per month simply for food and shelter. Having only received the $1,200 stimulus payment, this person can pay for food and shelter and have $70 left over, assuming he or she has no other bills. If the Emergency Money for the People Act is passed into law, this hypothetical average American can cover his or her food and shelter for at least 6 months with $870 left over every month. I like to assume that every video I make might be someone's first personal finance video. If that's true for you, then welcome. You're taking your first steps into a much larger world. I'm not going to speculate on the likelihood of the bill passing the law, but I will offer you that you should have a financial plan whether the bill passes or fails. Let's conduct another thought experiment. You've recently become unemployed. Sometime in the near future, the Emergency Money for the People Act is passed into law and you receive your first $2,000 payment. What should you do with it? You should prepare to receive the second stimulus by taking a long look at your spending habits and seeing what you can afford to eliminate. Carefully review at least 3 months of your expenses and see where you're making payments for things that you're not using anymore. Many of these payments might be small, but in aggregate, they will eat away at your money. You may have several subscriptions that you're still paying for but haven't used. You may have a gym membership that you're still paying for but cannot use. You may be still paying to use a garage near your old job, but you're unable to go there anymore. Go over your finances carefully and account for every dollar that is spent. Once you've discovered that you're making payments for services that you haven't used or can no longer use, get in contact with those service providers and stop the payments. Make every effort to get a refund for the time that you haven't used the service. Some businesses will be understanding and give you a refund. Some will not, but it's worth your time to ask for a refund on every dollar that you've spent in error. Now that you've cut your spending by eliminating services you don't use, you should create a budget in order to ensure that your money is used optimally. Your budget may help you see areas where you're overspending and may be able to eliminate waste or switch to a more cost-effective service. It will also help you to ensure that every dollar has an assigned task. Your budget should account for 3 things: everyday living expenses, savings, and debt repayment. You may find that your lenders have lower interest rates and very generous policies right now concerning repayment. I would suggest reaching out to them and seeing what their policies are. You might be able to lower your interest rate or stop payments on a debt without penalty. Even if you find yourself unemployed and using this stimulus money to make ends meet, I would still ask that you set aside a portion of your stimulus for savings. Even in this economic time of uncertainty, you still want to have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is a savings account that usually contains at least 3 months' worth of spending. If you don't have an emergency fund, your first job should be to build a beginner emergency fund. This beginner fund should contain $1,000 in order to cover any unforeseen emergencies. I've written about emergency funds in previous videos. It's crucial that you don't neglect debt repayment. As I mentioned earlier, contact your lenders and see if they have lowered interest rates and/or new policies like debt forbearance. If you're in the process of building your beginner emergency fund, try to only make the minimum payments on your debts. Once you have your beginner emergency fund set up with $1,000, it's important to shift your thinking to getting rid of your consumer debts. This will include everything except your mortgage and your student loans if you have either of those. Once your beginner emergency fund is set up with $1,000, organize your debts and your budget from lowest balance to highest balance. Then, while continuing to make minimum payments on all of your debts, focus on the debt with the lowest balance. Pay as much as you possibly can on your lowest debt every month until it's gone. When that debt is gone, add the money being paid to the lowest debt to the minimum payment for the next lowest debt in your budget. Keep doing this until your balance is paid. This is called the debt snowball. It's a debt repayment plan popularized by Dave Ramsey. I have a few more videos where I discuss the debt snowball more thoroughly. Though it's a nice sentiment, the $1,200 stimulus payment doesn't help the average American do very much. Fortunately, 2 congressmen are seeking to make the lives of Americans a little easier in this most unprecedented time by proposing another stimulus. The Emergency Money for the People Act would give Americans $2,000 per month until employment levels return to pre-Big Obvious levels. It's uncertain whether or not this bill will become law. However, you'll need to get your financial house in order to benefit optimally. It's important that you have a plan for this money. Tighten up your finances, create an emergency fund, and most importantly, pay down your debts. Well, that's my video on the Emergency Money for the People Act. I appreciate you watching. Let me know any questions, comments, or topic suggestions you might have on personal finance in the comments below. Be sure to support us on all of our social media platforms. Follow us on YouTube and now on Facebook at Smart Money. Links will be in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and hit the notification bell to be the first to know when I come out with new content. Thanks for all the support we're getting in the comment section, and a special thanks to ANT Won't Stop, who was our featured comment for this week. Make sure you join the discussion for a chance to have your comment featured. I read and reply to all the comments I get. Make sure you like the video for the algorithm and be sure to share the video with a friend. Check the links in the description for offer information. Lastly, the stock market is set up perfectly to buy stocks at a discount right now. Even if you're just curious and looking to start with $100 or even less, I'd recommend using Robinhood. It's completely free, plus if you use my link, you will both get a free stock just for opening an account. It's a win-win. Comment below and let me know what you get. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.